How many threads have you used in the second line? Or to reduce the time from 200 to 100? In the OpenMP and the vectorization period.
Oh, maybe this is a topic I wanted to mention. Maybe this answers the question. We are doing both now, vectorization and OpenMP, and the compiler does this by heuristic. The compiler guesses how much an iteration, where the threshold is. And so it takes certain values to split the loop for vectorization and for OpenMP. And so it does it automatically. It's not always perfect, but in this case it really works perfectly. Excellent results. So the compiler uses both OpenMP and vectorization for this loop. So it first does the OpenMP parallelization, and then the chunks for each thread are again vectorized.
So the decision is made by the compiler in this case?
Sorry?
The decision is made by the compiler?
Yes. Because we're using both OpenMP and vectorization. Okay, so let's now go and look, does Silk help us too? Again, short reminder, Silk is, yeah?
A short question only. And so you know, is there a performance difference when you declare the double variables inside the loop or use instead a private statement on the OpenMP pragma? Do you know that?
This is not an alternative. If you use this private clause, then you must be sure they are private. So in my case, I couldn't use this. It would be a mistake. It would be a user error. OpenMP private only means that. Oh no, sorry.
Private is I have two variables.
No, you are right.
Variable for each thread.
No, you are fully right. Sorry, absolutely. No, I don't know. It would be a nice test. I can do it after the session.
Okay.
And,
I come to you.
Very good question. No, I can do it quickly. Sorry, you're right. Okay, Silk, as a reminder, we have a very nice new model. James presented this morning. We have only 3 keywords, a parallel for loop, a spawn, and a barrier. And Silk Plus, for marketing reason, is both the data parallel part consisting of the array sections of the so-called SIMD pragma or user-mandated vectorization and the elemental functions, parallel functions. And then, of course, more important here, the tasking concept of the original Silk. So we, at this time, ignore this. We don't do anything here. We only use the tasking, which is really interesting and an alternative to OpenMP. And so what I do now, here's the for loop. Call it some for loop. By the way, we split the loop in Silk. It does the half of the iteration by a spawn, and then a continuation, as they say in Silk. It consists of the other half of iterations, and then this goes recursively down to a certain range size. So it splits the iterations until it reaches an internal limit, which you can change. By the way, I mentioned this yesterday. And then it executes these iterations by different tasks. And typically, you have as many tasks as you have compute threads, and you have as many compute threads as you have cores in the system. So we try this now on our application, and again, it's so trivial. I only add these 5 letters, Silk underbar, in front of my for loop. It's even simpler than for OpenMP. And then I compile this. I don't even need an option, a different compiler switch. I compile this again, and very interesting, I get almost the same result. So 725 cycles compared to 717 for OpenMP, and I've seen runs too where the Silk version was faster. So really, the performance is identical. There is no reason to go for OpenMP in this case regarding performance. It's really excellent. So really, that's all. It's so simple, and it's especially for people who don't want to read the OpenMP standard, who are absolutely new to parallel programming. And Silk is a great model and gives perfect performance. Yeah.
And would you also get race conditions on the shared variables itself? So you have to move them inside the loop also?
Yes, of course. And their Silk is a little bit not as complex. It doesn't offer you as many features to protect this, but there are the so-called reducer objects. I showed this yesterday, where you can implement race conditions, or where you can avoid race conditions. But in OpenMP, for example, there would be alternatives like a critical section or an atomic section. Something like this doesn't exist in Silk. There you need to go back, for example, to the basic field threads, mutex operations, or on Windows, the mutex or semaphore elements you have there to synchronize accesses to data. But then it gets slow. So this is very expensive. You should avoid this. But otherwise, For Silk, you have to move the data, the declaration into the loop as you have to do for OpenMP. Otherwise, you have race condition.
But there is not a big difference if you make one pragma for OpenMP or one Silk for.
No, I agree. No. That's not an argument for Silk, absolutely. But sometimes people are afraid to change the code and then to have different version and so on. It's really. Oh, I agree. That's not an argument. Okay, so we are down to 725. Now the last step is we are using the Intel Maskell library, and you probably have heard about this. This is the mathematical library from Intel, and here one slide about this. It has a lot of stuff like the basic BLAS and LIPAC routines, but it has also, for example, parallel differential equation solvers. We have the VML vector-mass library, and we have random number generators, and they are most interesting for us in this context. So they are so-called vector random generators, which generate a bunch of random numbers for you by one call. You put them into a buffer and then you use them. And so a very complex library. It's threaded by OpenMP. Hopefully we will move to Silk in the future, but at least for some time we have to live with OpenMP. And again here we have to make sure now that we don't get oversubscription. I mentioned this yesterday, and here now you see this as a problem. If I run this now on my dual-core system and I use OpenMP in this Black-Scholes application, I have to make sure that I don't use OpenMP again in this Maskell library, because otherwise I would create 4 OpenMP threads on a 2-core system, and then I probably would lose performance. So by linking MKL in my next sample code, I make sure that I run the sequential version and not the multi-thread version. Okay, you can set also parameters, and you can set environment variables to control this. But again, this is one of the disadvantages of OpenMP, that you have to care about this. You shouldn't. It should be done by the runtime system, and Microsoft, for example, has discovered this problem too with this CRT concurrent runtime implementation they are working on, where they want to implement something so that you don't need to think about oversubscription and get the resources distributed in the best possible way. So this VSL part here, one slide about this, and you see already here what great performance improvement we can expect. This is a primitive benchmark where we call the rand function initially, and it takes 25 seconds, I think 1,000 times or 1 million times, I don't know. And if you use the VSL of the Maskell library, it goes down to 5.6 seconds, 4.5 factor of speed up. And then if you run this on 12 threads on a 12-core system, you get even a factor of 35 performance improvement. So a great win. And in some applications, especially in financial applications, they use these random numbers everywhere. And so this is something which definitely fits to our problem here. And you see here all these different random number generators we have implemented. Don't ask me for details, so it's downloadable. So we are using this now in our code, and you see here we get the best improvement at all. So we are going down now in the initialization from 612 cycles to 99, factor of 6 improvement. And we are also going down, no, sorry, for the calculation, nothing changed. So we have a factor of 6 in the initialization step, and this brings us down in total to 200 cycles per option. And this is a factor of 10 compared to the initial version compiled by Microsoft. And there is even room for additional tuning, so I didn't test this. But for example, we could go for single position. Of course, then we change the algorithm, so this would not be a fair comparison. But we have in MKL, we have versions of this mathematical vector routine, the transcendental function, where we offer 3 different levels of precision or accuracy. And let's say, I don't know the details, but let's say these guys in this bin should live with a low precision version here. Since we are working with random number anyway, then you get a huge performance boost, because then the computation again gets much faster. We could use a non-IEEE division by this compiler switch here, 2-track diff minus, because division is very expensive, and we had a couple of divisions in our code. And yeah, we could go for AVX, then we have twice as many fields for double precision. Yeah, hyperthreading, very likely you won't see any benefit, and I don't have hyperthreading here. And we could use the Vision tool again to look for microarchitectural tuning opportunities. Probably there isn't much to be done here, but 10-15%. Yeah, here this is the library I mentioned. So now these are the 3 different versions of precision we offer for many of these mathematical vector functions. And so if your application can live with 26 bits, and typically games can do this for their computation, because again you see a picture for a few milliseconds of a frame, and then you don't need the high resolution here. And so by default we use 53 bits, and if you can live with 51 bits already, you see this here, it's much faster than. Oh no, this is a comparison to libn. Anyway, so there is potential. I didn't test it. Okay, the last, very quickly, done in 5 minutes. So you could ask now, can't you show us a version where we use the array sections, where we can present arrays as or sections of arrays in expressions. So I showed this yesterday. So we have now, as part of Silk Plus, possibility to write complete loops by using the section notation. So in this case, for example, you grab 3 elements from array D, starting with element 0, and you take every second. So we take element 0, element 2, and element 4. Similar to Fortran, I mentioned this yesterday. So this is introduced in the Composer XE, the 12.0 compiler, and it is of course a very nice way to help the compiler for vectorization, since you are telling the compiler already by using these objects here that the code can be vectorized, because there is no loop. The loop is resolved in this array section expressions, and we even have the so-called elemental function where you can define functions which in some sense are compiled to a parallel version of this function, so that you can call this function in parallel. So for each of your element in your array section, you are doing this computation at the very same time. This is currently rather limited because we are at the beginning, but we are working on extending this, but it works today. And the important part here is that the Vex Folds code really works in using the section. So for example, here I copied quickly a few lines out of it, where you initialize, for example, the arrays here not by a loop, by you defining the sections by 0 and so on. And in this slide is a reference to a complete version. I wanted to use this and to compare this to the vector version, but then I realized that the whole structure of this implementation doesn't fit to my implementation, and it wouldn't be a fair comparison. So I would have to work on this for 2 days or so to get it in the same way implemented. So I couldn't find the time. The last, very quickly, we even have a version for array building blocks. James introduced this too this morning, where we implement parallel model which is independent of the target hardware. So you have some kind of a just-in-time compilation which then interprets the code initially for the target platform you are running the application on. And then of course the stuff gets cached, it gets executed as fast as native code. And so when you download the beta version, you will find in this user guide the complete sample directory, the complete implementation of this Plex code written in this array building block notations, and you see here outlined when you declare the objects by the so-called dense objects, which are these parallel arrays of array building blocks, and then the rest of the code looks exactly as my code looks before the sequential code. So you really change only declaration more or less, and then you run this within array building blocks, and then yeah, we're done. Don't ask me for performance forever, so I haven't executed this. It's probably slow today. So my time summary here again, I got a factor of 10, closing my presentation, and then at the very end the summary, but the last step is, 1 minute left, I show you really that it is this way in executing all the binaries I built. So the first one, built with Microsoft, takes a little bit longer, but the others are always faster, and so we get it done in 2 minutes, even faster. So here you see 1984 cycles per iteration. And again, if somebody of you is interested in the source code, send me an email, I'll pack everything together and you can test it on your own. So this is the intercompiler without any code change, 20% better. The next one is after this optimizations, which really didn't help here. Should be a little bit slower. Yeah, you see? Oh, it's a little bit slower. And now the vectorized version where I used only the QAlias switch. And then you see this slow. You go down here. And then using OpenMP, using Silk, and then finally using MKL2. So this is the stuff I had on my slide, plus minus a few percent, so it's not this stable. Yeah, that's all. I think I'm perfect in time. Any questions? Everybody happy? Great. So, Levent, are you next or?